this session here, Let's Talk. Let's Talk. We have with us today an amazing man that I have met almost a year ago. And Coach O of the Southern University, he's the head coach of the football team. Let's give Coach O some love this morning. So as we open up today, Coach, I want to ask you this question. How was life for you growing up in your house, in your home? How was life growing up? And what was a pivotal point that could have changed the direction of your life, but you didn't allow it to?
Well, first of all, I'm from Shelby, North Carolina, a little small town in between Charlotte and Asheville. And my story is probably similar to some of you guys' story. And the biggest thing is that things happen in our life that happen to us as young men that we have no control over. But we hold on to those things. When I was 9 years old, my father walked out on me and my mother. And my mother only had one child. My father only has one biological son, and that's me. And at 9 years old, you sit back and all a child wants is a father love, especially when you're a son. And my father left. Now, my father didn't go to another country or another state, but my father left my mother and myself, and he was 8 miles down the road, and I never had a chance to spend time with him as his son. When you go through those things in life, 8 miles, and your father doesn't want you as a son, we can hold on to that as young men. But because my mother was so spiritual and she prayed so much, that adversity, that situation, that circumstance had no bearings on the man I am today. You got to let some things go in your life. Let it go. Things happen to you that you have no control over, but you have full control of the man you choose to become. And you let those choices be your why. And when your why is greater than your circumstance, then you too will have a testimony about all the situations that happened in your life that you overcame.
That's CNN. All right. I want to say this. Young men, and this is a conversation, let's make sure we have a mic out there, Reed, as well. Show of hands that are comfortable enough. Raise your hand if your dad isn't raising you right now. Raise your hand. Okay. Okay. So we were at we was at an event called Guys and Ties. And when we was at Guys and Ties, Darius was in the audience that day. And Mr. Melvin said something. He say, guys, I don't know y'all. Y'all don't know me. But I want every young man to hear these words. He said, whether you ever heard this in your life or not, listen to this, young man. He say, I love you. And so when he said that, probably majority of the room just was like, whatever. But this young man at the very end said something to me after that. He say, I never had a man tell me he loved me. And so I got Darius here. Darius, I want to focus on your aspect of growing up, having to overcome challenges and all these things. And so I really want you to speak to the mindset. We come from similar backgrounds as well in regards to you have a mission right now. You're on a goal. You have something to accomplish when it comes to poverty, mentally and physically. Tell us, why are you so focused on making sure that young people like you, and including yourself, get out of poverty physically and even mentally?
Mic on, huh? To start off, having a daddy, just a father, just resonated deeply in me. And I didn't realize that until I was 18, till I made 18. Once I made 18, it was just like, what made me different that my dad wasn't in my life? And like he said, I've never had a man to tell me, I love you. Because us as men, we got to portray this image of I'm strong and I'm not weak. So it's just like we just throw it away that our father is in our life. I am so invested in making sure that myself and every young man out there that's in poverty get out of poverty. My mom had 12 kids, 8 boys and 4 girls. 7 of them, well, we've all had some type of conflict with police. We've been in trouble and all that. But then I realized I'm different. This ain't made for me. This ain't what I want. I had a weak moment then. And it was just like, I'm not the only one out there like this. I'm not the only one out there that want to get out of this, that want to have a M year, that mean $1 million a year. I'm not the only one that want to have that because I got to get my mom out of here. We got to go. And that was what stuck on my mind. And not only do I have to get my family out of here, but I got a lot of young black boys out there that got to go too. So I had to find a way. I had to find out what is in me, what talent do I have, and what power do I have, and what's in my heart that can help me to help y'all and help everybody, every other black boy that's on that corner, but don't even have it in their heart that they really supposed to be on that corner. And so I said, what I'm about to do to get us out of here. And I just found ways, if that means me getting inside programs that can help me. And that's what I did. I found that one mentor, that one person. But I found him at 17. If I could have found him at 14 years old, I would have stayed in high school. I would have finished high school. I dropped out of high school in 10th grade.
Wow. Go to that next slide because I want them to see this. It says, I'm Darius, a high school dropout, a victim of poverty, a world changer. Where did I get that from? When I first met Darius several months ago, I met him outside in the bottom at the library. And it was a group of boys in a circle where there's one mentor that spent time with them. And Darius was the leader, but he was a bad leader. Cussing, fussing. He got so bad I almost cussed him out. I'm just like, I was like, kiss my mother for her birthday. I'm just like, you're like, oh, he crazy. But Darius became someone, look at that. It says, I'm Darius, a high school dropout, a victim of poverty. But now I see myself as a world changer. And it doesn't matter where you start. You have the power to change your situation. And I want to move on. That's the back of Darius' book. He's about to release his first book. Can we clap our hands for that? That's pretty cool, right? And the name of his book is Alone in Poverty. And so this young man who started on the rough side is making a decision that he wants better. So I don't know where you at up in here, young man. You have to decide that I stay bitter or do I want better? It says, JP said, we are our choices. And I'm glad to have with us today Mr. Silky Slim. And I want him to talk for a few minutes from the aspect, if I could ask you one question in this panel, is how did your choices evolve as a young person, as a youth, a young adult, and now as a man?
Well, the choices I made as a youngster as far as starting gangs and being involved with gangs, they were made just strictly out of peer pressure, coming up in the bottom, having to fight to go to school, having to fight to get home from school. But one of the things that's very interesting, and I was just sharing this with people in Los Angeles, is that when we talk about that father figure not being there, my father went to penitentiary when I was 3 years old. And when I was 16 years old, I'm right down the walk from my father. And it wasn't that type of, hey, what's going on, Dad? It was like, I told you, don't come here, so you can't come lay up under me. You got to be a man on your own. And one of the things that was interesting to you is that both of us are home right now, and that having that male figure to say that I love you. My daddy did 30 years in the pen, and I haven't one time in my life heard my father tell me that he loved me. Even though I feel like he loved me, he's just hardcore. And that's one of the things that I try not to be with my children. I always tell my children that I love them, because I desire that from my father, but I can't get him. Me and him just came back from Memphis, Tennessee. And when we stopped the car, I was like, hey, man, I really enjoy. All right, man, I'm going to holler at you. He always cut it off because that's that mentality he got, But it's important for young men to know that their father loved them. And if you can imagine being locked up and incarcerated at 16 years old, and the man that you would write home to, you have to write up the walk or send farm mail to him, that's a cold situation to be placed in. But that was because of my decisions. Because when we were coming up, I was a 7th grade dropout, and we didn't play the regular games like everybody else played in the bottom. We played different games. So we would have 5 men on this side, 5 youngsters on that side, 5 youngsters on this side, and we had to walk down that line. And when we walking down that line, people punching on you and you fighting back. We call it the Angola walk, because that's what we were taught, where we were going to go. So you can't let people dictate to you where your future would be, is what I would tell these young men today. And even coming up in reform school, if I got into a fight, and I didn't fight too good at the time, the man that was supposed to be correcting me, he didn't tell me not to fight. He said, man, you can't go up that road fighting like that. You'll get your old man. So it made us more tougher. During my age, we were trained to be prisoners or trained to go to prison because there wasn't no correction facility that was trying to correct us about our behavior. It was more of, this is one level and you got to go to the next level, or you going to the next level. So nobody seen me being a free person. So I had to start making those decisions for myself when I came home. Seeing so many of my homeboys die, there's an article on me in the Wall Street Journal that says more T-shirts than friends. And that was because I had lost so many gang members through Louisiana, South Central. I had all these T-shirts that we like to wear, rest in peace, and all of that. I had more than just about anybody in my South Central neighborhood. So once I realized I had more T-shirts than friends, the first decision that I had to make is that I didn't want to be on a T-shirt. And that's why I try to go out and try to talk to anybody that I can about the importance of staying out of gangs. I know it's cool to rep your hood, but right now we're in a state of disaster right now. And the most dangerous thing that we have for our young kids right now, I'm going to tell you, is Instagram or Facebook, because it gives a platform for nobody to think they somebody. So we see our young men on there. Who you talking to? They got money up to the ear. I'm talking to my bread. Well, your bread ain't talking back, because if you could put all your bread in your pocket, you ain't got enough bread. So I'd be trying to tell them, make the right decisions, make decisions for your future. And I feel pretty good about where I came from right now, because I'm a 7th grade dropout. I wrote my own writs to get out of the penitentiary. And right now I am an investigator and a paralegal for one of the largest civil rights law firms in the nation, that's being Crump Law. And that didn't just happen by me being friends with him. It happened by continuous work that I put in.
So Reed, you gotta go to the next slide as they talk. But check that out.
Wow, where you get that one from?
Because you ain't sent me one.
That's an old one there, man.
So think about this though, man. Yes, sir. Go to the next one, Reed. Now go back to the one we did before. What we see now is not what we see up there. Some of you all, you just go back to it. Some of you all, this you on Instagram.
Yeah.
This you posting. This you. I don't play no games. Stay in your lane. I do my thing. Don't make me keep rhyming, man.
Oh, man. And that's one thing, since you brought that up, man, that picture right there, that picture kind of touched me because that's a picture that I took right before. I'm about 15 years old on there.
Wow.
And that's a picture that I took before I ended up in prison at 16 years old.
Wow.
And one of the things that I can tell you young men, and I'm going to tell you this for real, there are no real street gangsters. I can tell you that. Now, we can perpetrate and we could be actors, but once you hit that land in St. Francisville up there in the Tunica Hills, the real gangsters take over then. And they ain't talking nice to you. Hey, get on off of that bus. And I can remember hiding in the field trying to keep from doing some work. And the free man rode up behind me on the horse, and he put a gun behind my head. He said, Reed, if I catch you not working again, I'm going to put a hole in you, and the state going to raise my pay. You hear me, boy? And when I looked up from the ground, and I looked at him on that horse, it reminded me of a scene that I seen on TV. It was called Roots. And I say, damn. I say, man, wait a minute. I'm a slave. And I went around the compound telling people, say, bro, we in slavery. And you know what they say? Man, they done broke Silky Slim. That fool think we in slavery. If you getting 23 cents a day for working 12 hours just about, and that ain't slavery, you tell me what is. And that woke me up. I had an old man that I was blessed with, and I just seen him on the program. And he taught me something. Every morning I wake up, run and get the newspaper, act like I was reading, couldn't read. Dropped out in 7th grade like I told you. And one day he asked me, he said, what you read in the paper? I said, oh, somebody got killed. He said, where at? I said, the paper in the bars. He said, no, I want you to tell me. And when I couldn't tell him, tears welled up in my eyes. And he said, you know what? You're just like me. Say, son, listen at me. If you don't listen at nobody else, listen at this one thing. He said, I came here at 16. Say, boy, I'm 66 now. He said, you in Dome 5. He said, in 10 years, they're going to put you in Dome 4. He said, in the next 10 years, they'll put you in Dome 3. He said, eventually, you end up in Dome 1. What do you see in Dome 1? I said, that's the wheelchair gang. He said, you're going to be in the wheelchair gang. You know why? All you want to do is go look at them videos on BET and MTV, play spades and dominoes, and he say, they don't give a damn about letting you out of here. You right, you a slave, but how are you going to come out of slavery? He said, I may not never go home, but if you go home, I go home. He's still there, and I came home. And since 1996, I refuse to go back to penitentiary. It's way bigger than representing the hood. It's about and I tell you, never ever think, because right now we're caught up in such a materialistic world. We feel like if you ain't got on Jordans, you ain't got nothing. Right. And you walk home with your brand new Jordans on and cut on the lights and the lights out. Mama, what's wrong with the lights? Baby, I got you them Jordans. Sacrificing for you to have on a pair of tennis that serve you no purpose. I tell people all the time, I say, don't worry about the gold and platinum chain. Get a gold and platinum brain and become something in the world that people can challenge, and then you can get anything you want. Right now, the only thing we worry about is material stuff, and the material stuff adds no value to you.
All right, so we got to go, but I want you to say this in our conversation. This is really, really good. Say what you said when we was at Guys in Ties as well at the end. It was just me, you, and Greg up there. Everybody else had left, and you said, the officer said, you're going to be back. Say that. Yeah.
Oh, that's about the ram being in the bush. God always has a ram in the bush that could bring you out of a situation and not take you back. There was an older white gentleman, when he seen me, because some of the black people would see me and I was kind of like a celebrity to them. I didn't have to work. They let me mess around in the dormitory. But when he seen me, every day he came to work, the first person he looked for to work was me. And even on my off days, I would say, hey, man, it's my off day. Well, Reed, if you don't come work, they call that disobeying a direct order. You be back there in the hole for 90 days. And he did this every single day. And I actually had a hatred for him, but I gained a love for him because if he wouldn't have worked me the way that he did, then I'd be back in penitentiary. When I was going home, he stuck the key in the gate and he said, Reed, say, man, I'm going to miss you. We done had some good times here. He said, but I'll be here when you get back, Reed. I say, oh, no, Sergeant Thomas, I ain't coming back. Oh, Reed, this all you know. You've been here half your life. What else you going to do? I'll be here when you get back. I went back, and I apologized to him. I say, Sergeant Thomas, I told you I'd never come back. I'm back tonight, but unfortunately, I'm going back home, and I won't be back again unless it's to speak again, because I was speaking. You know what he said? He didn't say you was right, Reed. He said, took his hat off. He said, so far, Reed, you proved me wrong. Just keep proving me wrong. That means that they may not believe in you, but believe in yourself.
People working together in a strong community with a shared goal and a common purpose can make the impossible possible. I was at home and I was thinking about guys in ties. And I said, I have to get in contact with the chief. And so I did some ghetto Googling, talked to some people, tried to get your information. And somebody gave me your cell and it was disconnected. I said, I know his salary more than that. Well, you came to Guys in Ties, but I had a hidden motive. I had a good hidden motive. And my hidden motive was they didn't even know I was going to put both of them in a small group together. Because I wanted the young men there that night, and I want you to see this morning that these two that represent two different backgrounds, that has a common goal, can work together. So I put them in a small group. Do we have that picture? Did I put that picture in there? I have them in a small group together, talking to young men together. The next picture shows everybody smiling, except Mike in that picture. But here's the deal. Community has manipulated us and persuaded us that we can't trust y'all. I was on my way to Jackson for the game, and I got pulled over by Greensburg Police Department at midnight. And he pulled me over, and he said, sir, you was going 50 in a 25. I said, sir, you clocked me? He said, it's estimation. I said, estimated? I said, well, how did you clock me? He said, I've been trained to do it in my head. So I'm a little confused. So then I say, well, sir, what is the, shut up! Okay. No, for real, like, so I'm on the phone with a lady, and so I say, stay on the phone with me. And it's an old lady, so she started writing down. I said, officer name, blah, blah, blah. She said, what the bad number is, right? And so I felt in that moment very unsafe. And then it went from just shut up to get out the car and put your hands here. Where's your driver's license? I said, my driver's license on my phone, wallet. So he pulls that, he ejects that from me, and he run the stuff. So the stuff, when they run it, they say, does this car belong to, da-da-da. So all that checked out. Then he said, still go get your tag. And so I say, it's in the car. He say, where in the car? I say, it's in the glove department. And he say, okay, I'm going to walk you to your vehicle. Don't do nothing, like. So I'm like this. And I'm getting to so he pull it out, get my stuff, and then he takes about 30 minutes reconfirming everything that's already been confirmed. And then I ask him, who's his chief? He tells me the chief, and so I say, thank you so much, chief. He said, I'm not a chief. My apologies. I want to say more, but it's dark. I don't have, it's not too wise for me to go back and forth with him right now. I'm hot, I'm mad. I get in the car, and he say, put on your seatbelt. And I say, yes, sir. And I'm about to go into drive. But as I'm about to go and drive, I look into the rear. He's literally on the side of my door, waiting to see me put my seatbelt on, or he's going to clock me again. So I put my seatbelt on, and I drive out. For me, in the words of what the young people say, he did too much. What must happen in this community, Chief, for us to be able to trust you and you be able to trust us? Because the last Guys in Ties, we talked about turning in guns. And a young man that was there last time, that's here now, that I will keep under wraps, sent me information that he sent information because he trusted me, and I trust you, and maybe it may take this line of trust to get it to the right hands, and nobody, Nobody was sent to jail. What would it take for this to become a working partnership and relationship? Because I put a police officer on our bus one time, and I asked the kids, when 26 kids was in there, 24, I asked them, I said, who trusts the police? 24 said no. What is it going to take for this relationship in our community, especially our young black men, to trust you all and for you all to not look at us as a problem? What would that take?
So first, let me give you a little feedback on that information you just provided. That information that you gave me cleared several armed robberies in this community. So the individuals who were involved in that were not victimizing innocent people.
Wow.
So I wanted to give you that feedback. We made arrests based on the information that you provided to me. So
Wow.
to that person, thank you for doing your part.
Give them a round of applause for
Thank
that.
you for doing your part. I think what's happening is, like, this isn't unique to the Baton Rouge Police Department, but in America as a whole, you know, we have to go back and look at what role we have played in community police relations. And I think what we have to understand that there has to be a mutual respect on both sides. You know, when we talk to our police officers, one of the things we have to explain and stress that the people we come in contact with every day are good, law-abiding citizens, just like you all are, just like your parents are, just like your teachers are. There is a very, very small group of people in our community who are responsible for majority of the crime. So we cannot treat everybody like they're a criminal. It's important that we educate our officers and we train them properly so that they can get that. It starts in training. But what happens is what the media does. When you look at social media, the good deeds, the good things that police officers do every day, they don't make headlines. They don't trend on social media. You only see the bad things. So when a bad incident, when a police officer who doesn't deserve to wear the badge does something in New York, does something in another jurisdiction, whether it's Dallas or wherever, it makes it on our front door in every community in America. But just like we tell our officers that we cannot treat people like they're criminals, we cannot paint law enforcement with that same brush, that same broad brush every time one police officer makes a mistake. We have good police officers out there that are out there serving, and doing it because their heart is in the right place. Now, I'm not going to sit here and tell you that we don't have some that either for whatever reason don't deserve to wear that badge or never should have been hired in the beginning. We know that. We hear stories every day of police officers getting arrested or police officers doing something. We've had a few recently here. So we acknowledge that. But what I say to you as I stand here before you as a public servant, that is not the norm, despite what you may believe. But we have to do a better job, and we have been doing that in the city of Baton Rouge with our procedural justice training and having conversations just like we're having now and giving you a voice, not only when we are engaged in encounters, but also give you a voice and being part of the process and telling us how we can be better at our craft. And we're doing that. But it starts with conversations. It starts with training. But last year, we participated in over 304 events. And I can tell you, just like the guys in ties, I learned a lot at every single community event because I run across some young person who tells us something, and I take that back. And I sit down with my police, just like I sit here, and I say, this is what they're saying. Is this what we're doing? Can we do that better? And what we're seeing in law enforcement, I just left IACP, the largest conference in the country, that we're going to be empowering our officers to take a problem-solving approach to resolving calls for services. And the end result is not always to make an arrest. And I give this example. If one of my police officers pulls over a young lady, and in the back of the seat, she had a 6-year-old and an 8-year-old child, and we run her name and she has a traffic attachment because she didn't pay her traffic ticket, the question is, does my officer arrest her? I would hope that every police officer in America, when confronted with that situation, know that taking that young lady to jail for a ticket, a $100 ticket she didn't pay a couple of years ago, should never be an option. Because at that moment, at that time, it's not about her. It's about those 2 babies in the back seat that's going to go through trauma when they see us put handcuffs on her, on their mother. So to take a better problem-solving approach and thinking what's the greater good for the community. And I think that's what law enforcement is going to be going to. This is how we're training our officers in Baton Rouge, educating them on procedural justice training. And I think as we continue to educate, as we continue to have conversations like we're having now and being engaged in the community, that's when relationships develop. And we're doing that right now in Baton Rouge.
Thank you, Chief. Hey.
I wanted to share this because I think that it's important.
6.
Yeah, I wanted to share this because I think that is important. I went and spoke at a place called Youth Challenge. And at 3 o'clock in the morning, I got a phone call from the sergeant of Youth Challenge telling me that a cadet wanted to speak to me. And they asked me to come back to Youth Challenge the following day. And a little 15-year-old boy, he told me, he said, listen, man, he said, I got a gun at home, and I go on pass in a couple of days. And he said, I want you to get that gun because I was going to go home and commit suicide. And when I asked him, I said, why would you want to commit suicide? He said he watched his father blow his mother's brains out and then kill himself. And he said, I got to be here for my 7-year-old sister. So your story helped me, and I don't want to commit suicide. So if anybody out there is thinking about that, suicide is not worth it. The Spirit just hit me to share that story with you because that story, it touched my life. The way that this young man gave up the weapon, and he didn't really want to kill himself. He just felt pressured because he watched his father kill his mother. I just wanted to share that with him because I don't think we touch on those bases of suicide too much.
Yeah, absolutely. As we conclude, John Maxwell says, a leader is one who knows the way, goes the way, and shows the way. We are blessed to have Pastor Mark Ellis here, who has a phenomenal story, and he's going to conclude. I want you, if he doesn't mind this morning, to just share about a few of his failures and what did he do, what was necessary for him to overcome it all and become the man he is today.
Okay, thank you, President Jermaine, for the work you're doing here. Perhaps the greatest traumatic failure was 14 years old when I was hit by a car. That failure was a result of not following instructions, being disobedient. So the behavior of disobedience, not adhering to authority, led to some results, some actions that were not intended. My mother would tell me certain things to do every day. I would come home, but I would sneak away, get on my brother's motorcycle, and I would just ride out, thinking she was either asleep. So, boom, that taught me something. Broke my pelvic. I was one of the fastest guys in my high school. Had a career in sports. I thought all that was taken away through just one act of disobedience. But it was repetitive. It caught up with me. Crushed my pelvic, broke my thigh bone in half, broke this leg in 4 places, pins all in my legs. Took years for those to come out. 40 days in the hospital, had to learn how to walk all over again. Just one disobedient act, failure. As young people, we're taught and should be taught to honor authority, honor your mother and your father. Those are some things, some blessings you can have access to through the simple principle of honoring. Someone tell you to honor authority, obey that. It leads to great outcomes. So that was a lesson. Then, of course, I get to college. My father was an alcoholic. I never touched alcohol. My father gave his life to Christ, taught his children, stay away from it's controlling. It destroyed most of his brothers and sisters. So I get to college. I take my first drink. I can't put it down. I experience failures. Next 7 years, I get kicked out of school. I'm arrested several times, 2 DUIs, grand theft, simple assault, you name it. I was on a downward spiral, and I couldn't stop. Some of you perhaps have behaviors and addictions right now that you can't stop. You don't know why you are having these behavior issues. You can't control your anger, thumos anger, depression. You can't pay attention. These behaviors, all behaviors are predictable. But the behavior doesn't start with the behavior, something spiritual behind the behavior. I had inherited something through a family lineage that I didn't know about. Anger, alcoholism, this propensity was in my bloodstream. My baby brother was killed drinking and driving. My oldest brother had an alcohol problem, aneurysm on the brain, getting his life back over again at 55 plus years old. That thing was a generational curse. So I learned from God permitting me to experience some failure to turn my behavior around. So I turned my behavior around by getting in the right environment. As this brother said, finding somebody to mentor me, someone who I respected, a voice of authority that I would trust, because no one can help you until we discover who you trust. And if you trust no one but yourself, you're already at a disadvantage. I had to find a voice of authority that I would trust. And in order to be in authority, you have to be submitted to authority. I had to learn the spirit of submission. I had to get that spirit of rebellion off my life. And so my eyes had to become open to the spiritual reality that we are tripartite beings, body, soul, and spirit. You are spirit in a body with a soul. And once I became spiritual to understand the spiritual principles, I brought my life into governance. And so from 25 years old to 48 years old, how the age I am now, I went from a college dropout to a U.S. vice president of a Fortune 500 company. I retired at 45 years old, started a church when I moved here from Atlanta, Georgia 18 years ago with 3 members. We have over 2,000 plus members today, over 40 plus ministries. I've traveled all over the world, produced schools in the continent of Africa. I've worked for civil rights organizations, just to name a few things. Once I brought my spirit in subjection and realized I can learn from anyone, I start treating my mind like a garden. Your mind is a garden. Learn to weed it and feed it with care. Every man or woman, boy and girl will live out of the husbandry of their own mind. What you plant in your mind is what you're going to get out of it. Understand the content you're allowing to go on the canvas of your imagination every day. And understand, as a man soweth, that shall he also reap. Critical principles in determining the course of life and destiny that God has given you. I hope this helps in some way.
So we're literally out of time, but I do want to have to take a few questions, okay? Now, listen, let's make sure that we get to the question. And if somebody, I want to ask this question, real talk. Has anybody on this stage said anything to help your life? Raise your hand. Something was said to help my life, right? This is what I want us to do. I want to take a few questions, just a few, probably about 3, so that we can stay on track for our schedule. Now, if you have a question, these are very approachable men. We're intentional about making sure we bring the right type of people here so that they not standoffish. So they are approachable. Some may have to go, whatever that looks like, but catch them. Because I never have my answer in the room and still go home with my problem. All right? So, question. Raise your hand. Let's do it quick. Come right. Okay, right there. Great. So both sides.
My My question is that could there be like something wrong if you have like a police officer just keep catfishing you like in traffic?
Shh. Go ahead, son.
Like, is it going like to capture you in traffic if you like if you don't know how to drive?
Okay, say your question one more time.
So if you get like stuck in the if you don't have any driver's license, do you learn how to drive again?
No.
Well, right. You have to go to school. There are driving schools. There are laws that require you to go to driving schools so that you can drive before you legally can drive.
All right, next. Anybody on this side? All right, go ahead.
My question is, why should you be afraid to die if you're going to die anyway in life?
All right. Shh. That's you. That's the pastor.
Well, the question is, why should you be afraid to die?
Hold on 1 second, Pastor. Everyone, let's respect each other.
If I heard the question right, why should you be afraid to die if you're going to die anyway, correct? Was that it? All right, so first of all, great question. I'll start with the quote Dr. King said, "You're not free until you overcome the fear of death." And that's a process. So you shouldn't be afraid to die. The way to do that is to find something worth dying for, a cause. Understanding your life has purpose. Your birth is sheer evidence that your purpose was necessary by God. God put you here and allowed you to come into being. Developed from a seed into human form, fully functional. Now it's a discovery process. You don't decide your purpose, you discover it. There is a creator for every creation. And if you understand that spiritual principle, you'll discover the cause, the purposes to your life as you add value to society, to the relationships, the social order of life, the domestic order of life. God has purpose on your life. So once you fulfill that purpose, you're never afraid of dying, because you'll know that that time will come only when purpose is fulfilled.
Great question. Great question. All right, last one. We had one back there? All right, last one.
Why did you start drinking?
Talking to you, Pastor.
Why did I start drinking? Several factors. Environment, peer pressure, and perhaps curiosity. Of the three, my father often told his story to us, but I think the environment of the college campus life, the peer pressure of it, it appeared to be fun to me. I didn't know of the addiction because it appeared no one else around me had this type of addiction. I didn't know my family history to the degree that I should have known it, nor did I listen to that little voice to tell me that that should have no place in my life based upon the purpose of my life and where I was going. So environment, peer pressure, and curiosity probably.
So I'm going to ask her. Okay, he has a question. So we got to go, okay? But thank you for wanting to share your question. I do have a question, and I want to ask two questions, and if you can answer them 30 seconds. One for Coach, 30 seconds, and the other for Silk, because somebody has this question that's don't want to ask this question. First question is, where you are now, because everybody see Coach O, Coach, Did you ever see yourself here? Not as in Baton Rouge, but the status that you have, the relationship with God you have. Did you ever see yourself here? And I want to really help the young man in here to change how they view themselves.
Well, in order, first of all, to get here, in order to get to this point, at some point in your life, you have to visualize yourself at this point. When I was going to high school, I realized that I had some athletic ability. When I got to college, I realized I did not have pro ability. But what I did realize was that I had an education, and I was going to utilize my education to be able to give back to the less fortunate. I went back to my high school and started coaching. If you're a team captain or you're a leader in your high school, you all have the ability to coach and teach. I was a team captain for my college. So therefore, I was always a leader. And if you're a leader, you have the ability to inspire. How you choose to do that is the vision that I have for my life and where I am today. I visualize myself at going to college, getting a degree, going to my high school, being a coach. Once I became a coach, I realized that I could coach. And then I began to pursue other avenues in coaching. I wanted to be a defensive coordinator. I had the vision to be a head coach. Those things have to line up, but they don't line up by you alone. You have to contact the right people, and you have to believe the right things. And I believe that if you got God in your life, all dreams are possible. Just keep dreaming and keep praying. I use it as the push mentality. Pray until something happens. If you choose that mentality and that road, your journey may be rough, but in the end, the reward is worth it.
All right, so Pastor Silk, all right, 30 seconds. Coach didn't listen. 30 seconds, but that was good, Coach.
That's what I was saying. I said, he's a good coach, but he bad with math. They need that message, man.
So, and as quick as you can, because I want these men. And this is the crazy part. Let me say this out loud, because I'm not gonna just think it. Somebody life that's in here, you got what you need. Somebody said something on this stage that's gonna change your life. The question is, what row is it? Because some of you all, you chilling. You're not in it. But then there's a young man in here that's hungry enough to get what they need. Because here it is. There's two type of people in the room right now. The ones that saying, hurry up, and the ones saying, slow down. The question is, what young man you are right now? Because if I'm in the room, and my mom was an alcoholic, two brothers dealing with crack, I don't want to go home the way I came. So I'm telling you, don't stay cool right now. Open up your ears. Don't you leave with your problem. So, Silk, here's my question. I spit everywhere. All right. Here's my question. Because this is for a young man. I promise you this can help the young man. I know we over time. I hear you everywhere. What would you tell the young man that's in here that heard something that anyone said on this stage? They know they in a bad environment. They know they with the wrong people. They know they connected to the wrong circle. How can they get out for real?
Don't be afraid to get out. I was a member of the Rolling 30 Crips, and when you hear Lil Boosie rap about 4 Down, I started that gang at 12 years old, and I walked away because so many people, oh, you can't get out alive. That's a lie. If God bring you out, you're going to be alive, spreading the message the same way that I am right now. So if you're in it, get out. And just like he said, I'm gonna take this. I cut an apple in half one day for my granddaughter, and I looked in there, and it was 4 seeds in there. I cut another one in half, it was 4 seeds. I cut a whole bag of apples in half. And my thing is that you could count the seeds that's in the apple, but you'll never count the apples that come from one of those seeds if you just plant it properly. I only came here for one person today, just that one person that want to change their life around. Being a thug and being a gangster, that's cool if that's what you want to be, but it's not worth anything. It's like trying to be something in the world that the rest of the world sees as nothing. So get your education, make sure that you become competitive in life, and don't be afraid to get out of those bad situations is what I can tell you. That's it.
I'm going to summarize what you heard each person here say today, and I want y'all to repeat after me. I want you to say the 3 C's. Control, choices, consequences. Young people, you have control on how you respond to every situation. Remember the 3 C's. Control, choices, make smart choices because they have consequences. And everything you heard here, I want you to remember the 3 F's. Say 3 F's. Faith, family, first. Keep God in your life, and you're going to be okay.
Hey, can y'all do me a favor? Can y'all clap for this panel? Come on, y'all. If they did anything for you, can you clap and stand up on your feet and give them a round of applause? Come on, y'all. Make them feel special. Listen, we are so excited about Day of Hope 2019. Give yourself a round of applause for being here today. We have some amazing guests. We're going to still be bringing them out. I need everybody to sit up and sit back for me. Get ready for our very own. She's an amazing, humble woman of God. And I want you to stand to your feet and let's welcome this amazing woman of God, Mayor Sharon Weston Broome. Come on, y'all. Stand up on your feet. Let's give her a round of applause.
This is your microphone.
Come on, y'all. Make her feel special. Come on, y'all. Make her feel special. Awesome.
All right, all right, all right. Hello, everybody. It's so good to be here with you. I've been listening a little bit behind the stage, and I just want to thank Tremaine Sterling and the 2911 team for the Day of Hope. Let's hear it for Tremaine Sterling and his team. Oh, you could do better than that. You could do better than that. Yeah, this is amazing. And so it's really interesting because not long ago I was traveling and I ran into Tremaine on at the airport. I think we were in Atlanta. I can't remember, but I think we were in Atlanta. And we were headed back to Baton Rouge. And it's really interesting because today's theme has to do with turbulence, unexpected turbulence, right? And I know that as young minds that are constantly growing and developing, I really want to encourage you all as your mayor to know that the definition of words so you can clearly understand what you should take away from events like this today that you are attending. And turbulence has several definitions. One of them is that you don't seem to have full control over a situation when it happens. And one is when you are flying, it's certain violent movements in the air or at sea. And I have to tell you, Tremaine, that the mayor does not like turbulence when she is flying. In fact, the mayor has come a mighty long ways when it has to do with flying and turbulence. I can remember there was a time when turbulence would occur and fear would grip the mayor. And I would start praying as I was flying. And then one time, I tried to process all of this turbulence and get a better understanding of it. So I asked one of the flight attendants about turbulence, and she explained to me that actually the turbulence was not the most challenging time of flying, but that the most challenging time of flying was on takeoff and landing. Takeoff and landing. And so turbulence comes in between the situation of takeoff and landing. And while it may seem chaotic and while it may seem violent, actually the most risky time is takeoff and landing. And so I think there's a message about this situation of turbulence there. That actually in our lives we have turbulence, but it's really the takeoff and landing that really speaks to our lives. And so have any of you all ever felt like you've had a little turbulence in your life? But have any of you all gotten through that turbulence? How many of you all have gotten through those situations, that turbulence? And so today, though, I want to introduce you to a few people that have their own stories of flying, if you will, their own stories, perhaps, of how they have dealt with turbulence. So I'm going to ask you to join me, first of all, in welcoming Mr. Calvin Mills, Jr. Come on up, Calvin. And as he comes, I'm going to tell you a little bit about him. He runs 2 successful technology businesses in Baton Rouge, but has used his journey from New Orleans' 3rd Ward to playing football for the Southern University. then on to following his dreams as a business owner to inspire others, and finds the time to give back to the Baton Rouge community. Our next guest is Crystalline Lyles. Come on up, Crystalline. Crystalline is a parent. She's a former teacher, and Crystalline knows what it means to have to navigate the school system and make tough choices for her children and all the students in our city. She is also a graduate of the Southern University, where she was a dancing doll. And she has over 15 years of experience as an educator at Parkview Elementary, Park Elementary, and Scotlandville Elementary. Let's hear it for both of our guests today.
Test.
And so I'm going to start with you, Crystalline. Tell us a little bit about a time in your life where you felt that you had to push forward because things may have been unraveling. There may have been some unexpected turbulence in your life.
There are so many. I think that most of us can relate as Black children growing up in this system. We go through trials and tribulations almost on a daily. I guess my most recent one was when I decided to run for school board office. I'm a parent, and I decided to go back to working in the education system at McKinley Senior High School. And I ran for school board, which is really unheard of, to run for an office in the school system that you're working for. And so all the pressures of working and running for political office, and then my daughter started to experience a lot of anxiety and depression, and she actually is a suicide survivor. And so in the midst of her falling to pieces in all of this pressure, I still had to stand before people and speak. I still had to go to work every day and be what I needed to be for the children. I still had to be what I needed to be for my children, and just really push through and focus.
And what do you attribute, or what was your path in pushing forward?
I was an inner city child. All of my family was inner city, and I had the opportunity to serve inner city children. My passion is to always be what I need to be for all of you, because I was you. And if there weren't people there who were pushing through for me, to keep me focused, to keep me motivated, to let me know that I'm more than where I come from, I'm more than just my past, I'm more than what people think that I am, that those lines that are drawn, they're made for you to jump over, kick down, erase, not stay behind and locked into. And so you all are my passion. It's what I do. It's what I wake up for every day, to fight for a system that's going to give you the best of everything, because that's what you deserve, nothing less than that.
Great, great. Calvin, you've had an amazing journey, but I'm sure you've had some unexpected turbulence in your life before you became a successful businessman.
Absolutely.
It's on.
Absolutely, Mayor. I grew up in a single parent home. As a kid, my father died when I was 3 years old, was shot in the back 7 times, and passed away a couple of months after from that incident. And, for me, turbulence started when I was a kid. My mom, we grew up in a drug-infested area. I went to a predominantly white school. I was always told I was a sellout. I used to have to fight my way home and fight my way to school because, kids just didn't like the option that I was given. And even when I came to Southern University to play football, I had to talk my way onto the football team because there weren't any more scholarships. The coach said I was going to have to walk on. And most of my life, I've always been told, no, you can't do these certain things. Even in high school, I was told that I wouldn't be a good football player. Well, I wound up being the captain of the football team. In college, I had to walk on. I was told that I was wasting my time, and I became a starter and became the reason why we won 3 championships. Throughout my time, I've had people tell me no more times than ever. Even when I wanted to start my own business, I was told that you're crazy. you should just get a 9-to-5 job and give that up. And I said, well, that's not me. I know who I am and I know what I stand for. And for me, my faith is strong in God. You know, I would tell anybody, any success that I have, anything that I've ever been through is because of the 2 feet that I have that stand tall for God. And I had a period that I went through where I lost everything. I was very successful, had won all these awards, and then all of a sudden everything was just taken away, and I had to live in my office for almost 2 years on an air mattress. You know, and even then, people was telling me, you need to give all this up. Just let it go. Just go get a regular job. I said, no, I know what I want. I know where I'm trying to go, and I know what I believe in. And, you know, my best friend is here today. He's the CFO of my company. My lovely wife is here. You know, you have to have a great support staff, you know, and I have that, you know, with them and even with my mother. But for me, being told no was a driving force for me. It was fuel. When I was in high school, it was fuel. I used that, got in the weight room, got stronger, became a star player. In college, I was made fun of. I was bullied. But every day I got up at 5 o'clock in the morning, went to the weight room, studied the film, became as successful on the football field. You know, even when I became a successful businessman, I studied companies that I was working at to figure out what they were doing, how they were doing it, and how I can do it better. And along the way, that's helped me. But I wouldn't be sitting here in front of you guys if it wasn't for the faith that I have.
Absolutely. And so what I'm hearing from both of you all, I'm hearing a theme where sometimes we don't know what to call it, but sometimes our lives are filled with trauma, you know, and we absorb it. We just go along in life because we think it is a way of life, but we don't realize the impact that the trauma has on us. But what you heard from these 2 individuals, that in spite of the trauma, that they worked their way through it, and they represent resiliency, that they persevered, and they represent resiliency. And so what helped make you resilient? What keeps you motivated? Calvin, we'll start with you and give Crystalline a time to think this time.
I think what keeps me motivated is that I want it. You know, I'm a self-driven, my friends say it all the time, you know, I don't take no for an answer. I feel like I can do everything. But, you know, when I look at my kids, I got 2 beautiful girls and a son. When I look at them, you know, and see the excitement they have in what I'm doing, you know, that drives me. When my mom tells me she's proud of me, that drives me. When my wife tells me she's proud of me, that drives me. You know, I enjoy making people smile. You know, I have a nonprofit called Climb. Changing Lives is my business. That's what it stands for. And that's what it's about. It's about looking at you guys and knowing that I was the person, the way you sitting at right now, listening to somebody tell me their story and realizing, you know what, I can do the same thing they're doing and probably do it better. And I've always just wanted to be the best. But all in all, it's because of the faith that I have in God and his word that I've read time and time again. He tells me, if you desire, whatever you desire when you pray, believe that you've received it and you shall have it. I've been living by that scripture most of my life. And I tell you guys, don't worry about being the class clown. Don't worry about trying to be the coolest person in the room by doing stupid stuff. Be the coolest person in the room by making the highest grades. Be the coolest person in the room by doing good deeds for other people. That's the thing that you should be striving for. That's what motivates me, being able to sit here and give y'all that type of message and let you see the example. I was raised poor. I was raised by a single mother. I was raised in a drug-infested area, and I'm sitting here before you guys as a successful owner of 2 tech companies that played football at Southern, the Southern University, or HBCU, and I'm right here before you, both of us. And that's what motivation drives me, Mayor.
Crystalline, talk a little bit about motivation and resiliency.
I think, you know, we all would like a life without the pressure, without the turbulence, without the trauma. But as far back as I can remember, going through situations that some would have crumbled under, it just made me better. I did start a life off privilege. My parents got married and we lived in a 2-story house. And at 5, my dad left my mom for my babysitter. And exactly. And my mom tried to kill herself in front of me, and I was 5. And I remember calling my dad at 5, and he said, "What can I do? Call 911." And I, at 5, saved my mom's life. And then we moved from there to where my family's from, South Baton Rouge. And so I went from this affluent neighborhood to where my family was from, which is where my mom tried to keep me from. And I grew up in the bottoms. And I learned so much about myself. It's nothing to be ashamed about, because when you grow up in that environment, it gives you so much strength, and you won't know what you can push through unless something comes against you. And it makes you better. It makes you better. I wouldn't have changed it for the world. And every time I experienced trauma, I came out on the other side a much better person. And people need to see that. Your greatest ministry, your greatest message is what you do, not what you say. And you don't know how many children are watching you, your siblings, your cousins, children that you don't even know, that are watching you, expecting you to succeed, expecting your every breath, your every step, your every move, your every decision to give them that motivation. So trauma, and that's the best part about being an inner city kid. We get to have that. That's a reminder that we are made to push through and survive anything and come out on top.
You are definitely both are, but you're a testimony of flying through turbulence and rising to the top, and navigating turbulence and coming out resilient. Let me ask you this. Did you, as we close, did you have any mentors in your life, Crystalline, that helped to escort you through your journey?
Absolutely. I can give all of my steps in life and decisions and blessings to God. He orchestrates everything. And if you look around, he seems to put just the right people in front of you. And they're always at 3 levels. They're the ones that are where you've been or where you want to go, and they can pull you up with them, and they can give you that prayer, that knowledge, that support. They're the ones that are swimming in the waters with you, that keep cheering you on. And then they're the ones that are looking for you to succeed, so you can pull them with you. It's just enough pressure. It's just enough pull in each direction. So I would say that at every stage in my life, there were mentors. Some of them moved with me my entire lives, and some of them were just there to get me through that one moment. But mentors and prayer partners, even at this age, is greatly important, are necessary. And a lot of you have them right in front of you at that school that you walk on every single day.
Great. Calvin, how do you find mentors and people you can lean on the journey?
I think for me, finding mentors, it was easy because I'm not afraid to walk up to anybody and say, hey, I'd like to ask you a question, or I need help. And I think when I came to Baton Rouge, it really became an important thing for me, especially even people like you, Mayor Broom. I've known Mayor Broom when she was in the state legislature as a senator, and early on as an 18-year-old kid, I had a great opportunity to work at the state capitol, and a lot of the black male and female legislators I became real good friends with. They became mentors of mine. I would watch and emulate certain things they would do, how they would, talk to people, and how they operated in certain circles. And I watched that, and it was important, and they took a liking to me and realized, here's a young man that's really trying to do something, so I'm going to help him. I'm going to push him, give him advice when he needs it. I'm going to scale back and allow him to grow and not micromanage. And those are the things that I appreciated, because there are a lot of people that have been in my life that along the way that have really stepped up and been there for me to tell me when I'm wrong, tell me when I'm right, tell me when I just need a little more help. And honestly, I'll tell anybody, don't think a mentor has to be somebody that's way older than you. you can have a peer that can be a mentor. You know, honestly, you know, my best friend Garland, you know, he'll call me out. You know, I have a small group of friends that are family. Those are my brothers. And we'll call each other out and tell each other, hey man, you're wrong for that. Or hey man, good job, keep pushing. And it helps us to push one another. And I think mentorship is very important because when you get older, you'll think back and say, you know what? I remember what Calvin said, you know, back then in this situation, and it helps because people listen. And you guys should start listening to one another, and especially to your friends. If you see somebody that, you know, you think need a little push, hey, that's a cool thing to help them. It's not something to shy from. Work with them, help them out. If you got your coaches, you know, for the football players, basketball players, softball, whatever, some of your coaches may become a mentor. You may have a teacher, you know, the neighborhood, the person in the neighborhood. Reach out, open your mouth. My mom always said, closed mouths don't get fed. So take your 2 feet, move them, open your mouth, and ask. You know, Mayor, I'm feeling something right now. So I want to do something.
Okay.
You know, you and I have talked about this for a while, and I think I want to do something. Is Coach Odoms around here? Is Coach Odoms up here?
Coach, are you still
Coach,
here?
hey, can you come up here for a second? So, how many students
Come
do
on,
we have
Tremaine,
here today?
you come up here too.
How many students do we have here today? About 1,500? Okay, so we got about 1,500 students. Let me ask y'all a question. How many Jaguar fans do we have in the house? All right. So y'all know that I'm a former football player, part of the team of the decade, went 25-0, won 3 championships. And back then, our team relied on our fans because that's what we needed. And I know, Coach, on next week, we got a big game, real big game. And we need all the help we can have, right? So here's what I want to do. Hey, shh. I want y'all to listen to this. So since we got 1,500 kids, I'm giving all of y'all tickets to the Bayou Classic. So listen up. So listen up. Shh. So listen up. Listen up. Listen up. So on behalf of myself, my wife, who's standing over, can my wife stand up, please? It's my beautiful wife. So on behalf of myself, my wife, my foundation climb, the mayor, Coach, we're going to bring you 1,500 supporters to the Classic.
All right, all right, all right. Well, thank you. Thank you all so much. Let's hear it for Crystalline. And let's hear it for Calvin Mills as well. And go Jags.
Go Jags. Let's go Jaguars, let's go. Hey, 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 let's go Jaguars, let's go.
Hey, hey, hey.
Let's go Jaguars, let's go.
Hey, hey, hey. All right.
Hey, welcome to Ladies. We need to talk. Clap your hands right there. So we have an amazing panel here today, and I want to go ahead and get started. This is Jazz. Everybody say hello, Jazz. This is Ariane. Everybody say, what up, E? What up, E? This is Pastor Washington. Everybody say, hello, Pastor D. Hello, Pastor D. And this is I Am Enough. Everybody say, enough. So what I want to do in this moment, I want to go ahead and dive right into it because I think, ladies, we need to talk. There's some things going on in your generation that we need to talk. We need to talk about some things. The first thing that I want to do in our talk today, I want us to focus first on relationship goals. Raise your hand, you ever seen a picture that say goals, right? I want to ask a question. Raise your hand, you have relationship goals. Be honest.
Raise your hand, you like, nope, I don't need no goals, and I sure don't need no relationship.
So I thought it would be amazing to have an amazing sister of mine who's in the rim, who share her story in a profound way. When we thought about this, we only allowed 2 to 3 returners from last semester because we was very observant of those that really captured them. And so it is an honor to have Miss Tawana here with us this morning. And she, come on, clap for her, yeah.
Thank you for having me.
And so what I would like for her to do just for a few minutes on this morning is to talk about how she had relationship goals, but those goals shifted and those goals changed based on a process that she want to share with us this morning. All right?
How long do I have?
You have 3 minutes.
Oh, wow.
Let the Lord use you.
Good morning, ladies. How are you doing today? You look so beautiful and so amazing. And hats off to you for being here this morning. I wore this shirt intentionally today. 25 years ago, I didn't think I was enough. I lost who I was. I was in a dating abusive relationship with a young guy who I thought loved me and worshiped me and honored me, and one day we would be married. And we talked about getting married. We talked about planning a future together, having children, and it was the perfect relationship. He was a gentleman. He was charming. My family loved him. My friends fell in love with him. We were connected. We were joined at the hip. You saw him, you saw me, you saw me, you saw him. We spent all of our time together. We invested in each other. We were in love until one day. Never saw it coming, didn't see the warning signs, and I felt his hand across my face. And from that moment on, my life was turned upside down. I found myself in a very dark place. Blamed myself many times for what was happening. I was in disbelief. I was doubtful. I had lost who I was. And those relationship goals were no longer in place. I had standards for myself. I had personal boundaries for myself, and all of that went out the door. I was very suicidal. I was depressed. I was mentally abused, emotionally abused, physically abused, sexually abused. I had checked out mentally. And today I want to say to each and every one of you that you are in control of you. You are in control of your destiny. You set the tone for how a person will treat you and what you will accept. Setting personal boundaries is so very important. Personal boundaries is not for the person that you're dating. Personal boundaries are for yourself. Personal boundaries is for you to set mental and emotional boundaries. Not allowing someone to take your power from you, take your identity from you, take your self-worth from you, your self-confidence, your self-love. If you are dating and the person that you're dating is insulting you, isolating you from family and friends, calling you out of your name, constantly checking on you, wanting to know your whereabouts, telling you who you can speak to, who you can be friends with, where you can go, who you can hang out with, that is warning signs of dating abuse on its way to you. Be aware, pay attention to what those signs are. If someone is putting their hands on you, that is not love at all. That's control, power, isolation, intimidation, and manipulation. Wow. That's what dating abuse is. Be aware.
That's really good feedback. I would say this to you as well. I think a key component of you getting out is that you had to say something. Make sure that you are see, some of you girls, you tell all your business to somebody that can't help you. Right? You just share, they can't help you. So I think it's very, very important for you to find someone to share this information with that can help you get out.
May I say this too, Tremaine? Yeah. Telling someone takes a lot of courage and strength.
Yeah.
And for me, I dealt with it internally for a very long time before I found the strength and courage to share with a cousin who was attending Southern University with me. And when I shared with her what I was going through, her words to me was, "What can I do to help?" That meant so much to me. That gave me the hope and strength and the courage to not only tell her, but also set my mind on leaving. So finding someone to open up to is not always an easy thing because you are caught up in, what would they think of me? Will they judge me? I'm ashamed. I'm embarrassed. Will they go and tell someone else what I've shared with them? Will they tell a family member? So when you happen to run across someone, a friend or a relative, or someone you're close to that's going through it, please be understanding about where they are, because it's not easy. No one runs to domestic violence, dating abuse, or intimate partner abuse. You wake up in it. It's not something that happens all of a sudden. It's a gradual thing. It's the things we have a tendency to overlook. Someone asking for your password to your social media accounts, and you just hand that over, that's a warning sign. That's about control. That's about wanting to know who you are talking to, who you're engaging with, who you're friends with. And in being in the age group that you are, you overlook that. Well, he loves me, so what's wrong with that? He doesn't trust you. That's what's wrong with that.
Or the manipulation. If you love me, you would give me your password, right?
Exactly.
So
exactly.
Okay. A quote says, "I'm not single, I'm not taken. I'm simply on reserve for the one who deserves my heart."
Ooh, that is so powerful.
I think, no, like real talk, I think when I saw this, immediately I just thought about you. Because Pastor D has such a great standard about herself that she refused to settle. So I want her to talk a little bit about, and I don't even know if she's still single. I don't know, somebody, I don't know. I don't know if they caught you yet.
Nosy.
Oh, let the Lord lead you.
I am still single. I am.
So I want you to just talk for a moment, because you set a real good standard in single but won't settle. Tell us a little bit about that.
First of all, the fact y'all see my legs swinging, I'm too short for this chair, so don't be trying to shame me. But
Ariana too, look.
Your legs swinging too? That's fine. Higher? Oh, don't make it a competition. No, I'm focused. First thing is, I knew exactly who I wanted to be as a kid. And when you know exactly who you want to be, then you also have to know exactly what steps you need to take in order to become that. And if the steps that I'm taking aren't going towards that goal, then I didn't really fool with you too much. So if you mad because you couldn't smash, then that's a pass.
Oh, geez.
Sweetie.
Drop the mic.
Right.
Hey.
Right.
I tell you, we're going to have a good time. All right.
I'm saying, right? Just tag me when you post it. Just tag me, right? If you mad because you couldn't smash, then that's a pass, right? And so that's always been my mindset. Like, no matter how old I was, that was my mindset. And so that was the standard that I set. And if you couldn't, I wasn't going to lower the bar because you couldn't reach it. I mean, you don't jump high enough. So.
Write that down.
Write that down. I feel like Cardi B. I'm dropping bars.
I love it.
So, when you know who you are, then you know who you're not.
Hey,
And
put
so-
that in. No. Stop. Wait.
Come on.
Wait. No. Pull out your phone.
That's right.
Go to your notes.
That's right. And write that stuff down.
She dropping too much tonight for you not to catch it. Come on, let's get it. Shh. Everybody say, Pastor D. Unleash.
I'm talking, girl. Listen. And so I didn't allow anybody to tell me who I was supposed to be because I already knew. And if you don't know who you are, anybody can define you. And anybody could be anybody that you see on social media. Love and hip hop is not what love looks like. I know people that play reality TV is scripted, y'all. And they get paid a whole lot of money that you don't have to sell y'all a dream. And so I knew who I was. And I refused to settle. Why? Because the moment I settled for the frog, I missed the prince.
Write it down. Right.
And so when you come to me, if you don't step hard, you got to keep stepping. Like,
Right.
Pastor D, you got a whole fan club up in here now.
I'm saying.
For real.
So tell me this. But let's also talk about this for a few minutes because
All right,
we so
what you
over.
got?
But I want to say this. Being single, is that easy?
Being single isn't easy, but it's not hard. You have to understand that single is where I am, it's not who I am. And so when you got people out here making you feel like you gotta be in a relationship, let me tell you, the best relationship I ever been in was with myself. Because you teach people how to love you by how you love you. So if your love for you is low, then you're gonna let people play you, right? If you don't have love for yourself, then you go out here being a duck when you were supposed to be a swan. Like, and so I love me too much to not get what I deserve. And so you gotta love you more than anything. So single isn't easy. I mean, but at the same time, I do everything people do in relationships. I go out to eat by myself. I go to the movies by myself. I catch planes by myself. I got the Louis bag by myself. I mean, I ain't really missing nothing, you know, so. And when he come, I'm going to be out here by myself till he show up. And when he do, I'm going to be out here queening, baby. What you got? Yeah, because at the end of the day, every king needs a queen. We good by ourselves. So don't settle. Don't settle. Don't let people make you rush into relationships. Know exactly who you are and love yourself first. So when he comes in, he is an asset to your life. It's not liability. You don't feel like you gotta be with him because your friends gotta do. I mean, I was a third wheel for a long time and I ain't missed nothing. So it's all about your perspective on everything and how you decide to see life. It's on you.
That's really good. Hey, write this down. One of her mentors have a book called
Table for One.
Table for One. It's called Table for One. The author is?
Dr. Irisha Hilliard.
All right, spell Irisha.
I-R-I-S-H-E-A.
Okay, say it one more time for my.
I-R-I-S-H-E-A.
Get that book.
Hilliard.
H-I-L-L-A-R-D. I can spell that.
Hilliard.
I can't spell that. Okay. All right. So listen.
Table for One.
Table for One. Now listen. Your generation, y'all have money. I know, because the snacks almost sold out. Your generation have money, but here's the deal. Where are you putting your money? So yeah, they're gonna say clouds. Listen
16
to me, y'all.
inches.
Invest. You have to invest in books to help you make better decisions of your life. What's the name of the book? Table what? For one. By who? Spell Irisha. Spell healer. Yes. All right. So listen, as we migrate from these two here, I want to make our way. We're gonna skip Ariane, and I want to make our way to Jazz because we're gonna skip her. And the reason why we skip her because her feet is still not touching the ground. But I want to say this, Jazz. When I first heard your story, I was speechless because you do not look like what you've been through. And I brought Jazz up here because Jazz was she has done amazing things, and she was transparent about something that many people, because you do know this, many people take their secrets to the grave. But if I take my secrets to the grave, I can't help nobody. Right. So you're more concerned about being embarrassed than a leader. And so when Jazz had the audacity to be a leader that was transparent, I had to bring her on this stage today because she had a battle with identity, knowing who she is and whose she is. And I want you to just talk about that little journey of really finding Jazz.
It's downward.
Okay.
Downward. So growing up, I was in a very, sheltered environment with my grandparents. But unfortunately, while I was growing up, I was molested by family members and, a lot of friends, different things like that. And it caused me to lose my voice. It caused me to lose, my courage to say anything. So anything that I guess anybody else wanted was like, oh, okay, well, that's cool, whatever's cool to you is cool to me. So, I didn't really say what I felt. But what I noticed as I went on, the older I got, so that part, yes, was victimization, but it's important to realize when accountability comes in, because I noticed that it became a pattern of events. So it went from being abused to being the abuser.
Wow.
And it went from friends, different things like that. And I remember I think I was in high school, the only thing I was concerned about was how many heads I could turn in a room. How pretty could I be to somebody? What words could I say to lure somebody to make them want me and things like that? And I learned over time that has nothing to do with worth. That has nothing to do with what somebody should be attracted to you by. So that caused a lot of things in me to change once I realized that. So now I walk into rooms and I say, and I realize, what can I learn from other people? Who can encourage me? What circles can I be in? And I do want to say that it's so important to know who your friends are. You want to make sure that you're in a circle where those girls, whoever is around you, is telling you, hey, maybe you shouldn't be around that, or hey, maybe you shouldn't be letting him, talk to you that way, or maybe you shouldn't actually be going there. Make sure you have friends around you that tell you the truth, that tell you, hey, that is not okay.
So, as Jazz began to evolve in her own life, she was on this journey. I want you to share this. It just leaves me speechless. When I think you was flying somewhere, and tell us that story very quickly, though.
Okay, all right, very quickly. Before I say that, I just have to say about my mom. Is that okay?
That's part of it.
That's part of it. Okay.
Yeah.
So when my mom was pregnant with me, she found out that she had cervical cancer. And the doctor said in order to receive treatment, she'd have to abort me. And my mom said, no, that's my baby. They're trying to kill my baby. So she refused. So once I was born, she passed away. so fast forward to 20 years down the line, I found out that I was pregnant with my son at 20 years old. I found out that I was pregnant, and everybody around me told me, well, not everybody, but a lot of people around me told me that I needed to get an abortion, that I wouldn't really make anything out of myself, that I was too young, I didn't know what I was doing, all of those things. And I began to listen to them because I thought that that was a part of my identity. Well, I'm 20 and I'm black and all of these things. So people will judge me and I'll be a stereotype and all of these things. So I started to listen to them. So I took a bus ride to Houston because I was going to get an abortion because I was going along with my plan, not God's plan. But so and before you get an abortion, you actually have to get an ultrasound. And when I heard my baby's heartbeat, the same thing that my mom said was the same thing I thought. They're trying to kill my baby. And I hopped off of the table and I said no. And that was the first time I gained my voice. That was the first time I found my voice.
Yeah. And we have the same birthday, me and her son. Y'all don't care? I'm not the baby daddy, but listen, okay, come on, let's get serious, Okay, listen, okay. So think about this. People that I'm glad she didn't say the names, but these people that tried to convince Jazz to kill the baby that was in her was very close to her. I'm talking about, these ain't just friends she see at, I'm talking about very, very close individuals. People that influence her decisions. Look at me, girls. You're going to make mistakes. You're going to mess up. You're going to fall short. You're going to do something stupid that you know that was stupid, but then you knew it was stupid before you did it, and then it's still stupid after you finish. Somebody say, right. But one thing you have to make sure, never ever let your mistake define your identity. Never let your mistake define your identity. And so she got a voice. And Jazz, we are proud of you. We're proud of you. And so one thing I ain't gonna say all that. You can come back next year and say, you see her do sign language? She's deaf in one of her ears. So even, watch this, my dysfunction doesn't define my destiny.
That's it. Yeah, that is good.
Or she can sit, I can't talk in front of people. I can't even hear them. How can I talk to them? No, God, I'm going to use the life you gave me.
That's right.
So here it is. Use what you have. Don't come up here with excuses. I don't have this. I don't have that. Everybody say, use what you have. Say, I will. Use, not abuse, what I have. All right, listen. So we got to go. But I want to say this. I have Ariane here because Ariane, I brought her here because I wanted her to close this deal out in regards to growing up. She's 19 now. Don't look 19, right? She's 19. Stand up. They may believe you. No, you still. Okay. But as a 19-year-old, as you go back into retrospect and you think about your transitions and your change and all these things happen in your life, I remember we was in my office at Hosanna, and you was talking about, this is when you had a bad attitude. Just fun. You do know this. A pretty face will never cover up an ugly personality. You know that, right? Because some of y'all, you know you cute. So you use your outside face to be nasty to other people. Just mean. And you're like, I'm mean, but I'm fine. No, they don't work like that, right? Because you do know this. Every real man want a pretty face that matches a pretty personality. Okay? So your nasty attitude won't survive Too long. Okay. All right. So Ariane, so this is what I want you to say. When you had a bad attitude, I remember you used to get in trouble, and every time you get in trouble, after you did something wrong, you would cry. I don't understand that. But you was crying, and I remember we was in the office one day, and you said this. You said, I don't think I'm pretty. And you said, and I was like, what happened? And you was like, my teeth is, like, take us through that. Not my teeth is. My teeth. All right. Go ahead.
Growing up, I just didn't like what I seen in the mirror. And most times people will say, well, that's because you grew up without a dad, or that's because, you know, certain things that's happening in your life that may make you think that way. But I had a mom that, you know, would speak these things to me, would tell me these things, but I just still didn't like what I seen in the mirror. And when I was in middle school, you know, people would talk about me. People would, even in elementary school, they would say my teeth was big. Before I got braces, they was a little crooked. People say they wasn't that crooked, but to me, they was crooked. So I told my mom, I was like, Mom, I want to get braces. I have to get braces. So she said, Ariane, you don't need braces. You look fine. I was like, Mom, no, I need them. So eventually, I have them. So, but back to what I was saying. Growing up, I didn't like what I seen in the mirror. I was always worried about what others would say about me, what others would think about me. And if I was in this group of girls, I needed to be just like them. I needed to act like them. I needed to do what they did. If they was going to parties, I went, knowing I don't know how to dance, knowing I don't know how to do none of this stuff, but I was going just so I can keep them as a friend, just so they wouldn't talk about me. And so I had to choose, did I really want friends, or did I really want to love myself for who I am? And so I encourage you that, just to piggyback off what Pastor D was saying, it's a choice. Like, we all have choices in life, whether we want to please people or really live for ourselves or really live our own life. And so at the end of the day, going out of Hosanna, those people that I was hanging around, to kid you not, I don't talk to them anymore. I don't be around them anymore. I don't socialize with them anymore. And you as well, when you leave out of high school or middle school, you will not talk to the same people that you talk to now as you get older, because you will mature probably faster than them. So you pleasing them will not better you throughout your life or throughout your time in high school. So take this time now to find out who you are for yourself, and not put it on anyone else to find out who you are, because it is not their job to know who you are, but it's your job to know who you are.
So, y'all looking at a progressive product in Ariane. Ariane failed the 4th grade. Her teachers labeled her as a kid that couldn't read and write. She wrote her first book at 15 years old. Right? She wrote her second book when she was 16 years old. Right?
And I want to say this.
Go.
I encourage people every time, and I say that I have done all these amazing things, but it is not easy.
Yeah.
Like, I have really came to the conclusion that it's really not easy. And
That's right.
like,
talk.
and I really believe that God is really showing me, because every time, like, I just recently got through speaking to women a few days ago, and about faith, and, you know, just knowing who they are in God as well. But it's really not easy trying to do different stuff, or trying to, you know, be a great person, because we are people, we are human. And so I just want to say that I have done all this stuff, and
by the grace of God, but it's not easy. So I want to encourage y'all that no matter what has happened in your life, no matter what has happened in your past, don't let that define you. Don't sit in that. Like, you are able to conquer, you are able to endure in all the things that come across in your life. Like, don't let that be the thing that stop you from pursuing your dreams, pursuing your goals. Don't let people tell you what you can't do, what you cannot do, because I promise you, prove them that they are a liar.
And Ariane, you are a prime example of this thing that I tell everybody that I come in contact with. You have to get rid of every justifiable excuse to remain broken. You are going to have every reason to want to quit, but you got to think about Ariane when you want to quit and do whatever it takes to be better. Ariane was willing to be resilient. That means that you got to press towards whatever it is that you want to do. It won't be easy, but easy is never going to be possible. Anybody that ever did anything great in their life, they did it because it became easier the more they worked at it. You see these tears? These are the tears that you cry when you keep pushing. So whatever excuse you have, it doesn't matter. You got to keep going and keep fighting and get rid of every excuse so you don't have to be broken. You don't have to be what your mama was, what your grandmother said, what old boy told you you was never going to be. You can be whatever you want to, but you got to keep pushing. Keep pushing.
This was so good.
Tremaine.
Okay.
Her teacher labeled her.
Yeah.
Her teacher
Yeah.
wrote her narrative
Yeah.
for a short period of time. And then she made a decision to write her own narrative, tell her own story. So I say to you, whatever your story is, you write your own story. Don't allow anyone to write your story for you. And I also want to say this to you, young women. I committed to myself some years ago. Every morning when I woke up and every night I went to bed, I said, I love me some me. Not only do I tell myself I love me some me, I hug myself every morning and every night. And the last thing I say to myself before laying my head down at night and when I wake up in the morning and say, I'm enough to Tawana Harris, and that's all that matters. So I want you to begin saying to yourself when you look at yourself in the mirror in the morning and at night, I love me some me. I love me some me. Hug yourself and then say to yourself, I am enough to me. And it doesn't matter what anybody else thinks or say or try to write about me because I write my own narrative. I will tell my own story.
That is so good. I just added it to my notes for this evening. That is really good. So you have a choice. As you was talking, this is so good. Raise your hand. This is good. This is good. This is good. I see way back there. I see Evangelist Barbara Green. Raise your hand, Evangelist. About 15 years ago. Everybody say, hey. About 15 years ago, and I'm so proud of Ariane because we go so many places and we tell so many great, truthful, positive things. But to be in this room, to see that she break down wasn't a weakness. You need to see people that's still on the stage, that's still making it, that still got positive things on their life, that they're not perfect. But when you break down, it's really that God is breaking up. He's breaking up all the filth, all the foolishness, all the stuff to keep you down. So, and then she just started her second business called Confident Christian. So she changed the name of her business from Nori. Think about this. It was Nori. That's Ariane spelled backwards. That was her idea. I thought it was.
I don't know where that came.
Yeah, it was lame. But watch this. It was about her.
That's right.
I thought about that. It was cute, but it was about her. But then she called me and she said, this ain't working. She said, I just want it to be a business where I help young people like this to become, one, a Christian, then a confident Christian so they can live out what they say they're doing. Listen to me, young ladies. I see somebody to my left. Listen to me. The choice is yours. She broke down in tears, but there's somebody here, you crying on the inside. Your row has no idea you don't even like yourself. Your row has no idea that you put on the hair and the makeup to cover the scars that's deeply rooted in your bloodline because you never hear at home they love you. Your row has no idea the stress and the pressure that you put on yourself, believing that you won't ever make it out. But we have to send 4 women to hear the stage today to let you know that if God can do it for them, He can do it for you. Listen, this is so good. I don't want to leave. It's so good. This is what I do want to do. I want you to just close your eyes. And nobody know your life like you know your life. The challenges, the good, the bad, the ugly, the stuff that you don't share with anybody, the stuff that you go to bed with and you wake up with. I call it turbulence. The trauma, the trials, the tribulations, the challenges every single day you go through. That's a female. With your eyes closed, we're going to make a confession and we're getting out of here. Say, I am enough. I am not defined what they say. My definition comes from what He said. I refuse to lose myself to pick somebody else up. I am enough. Whether they love me, whether they hate me, God said, I'm enough. If you're enough, clap for yourself. All right, you ready? Okay. Okay, all right, this was so good. Can y'all clap for this panel?
Come on, y'all. Y'all better stand up on your feet and give it up for this amazing panel here.
Raise your hand, you was here last time, the last day of hope. I had a message called, what was the name of the message? Don't miss your flight. Everybody say, don't miss your flight. God spoke to me directly, and He talked to me about making sure that I take this theme of airplane all throughout the year. And I remember last time we was here, I talked about don't miss your flight. And there's 3 types of flights, people that catch flights. The first type of person is the first-time flyer. That's the individual that has never flown before, but they're scared. And I talked to you about making sure don't let fear get the best of you. The second type of flyer that I talked about was the frequent flyer. That's the person that has flown many times, but they have gotten so comfortable with flying that they forget that there are layoffs. There are different things that causes different turns in life. I call that person the prideful one. They think they got it all figured out. But the truth of the matter that there's something that will happen in life that can change the whole game. And then the third type of flyer, I talked about the foolish flyer. That's when I brought this big old suitcase out and it had all kinds of stuff in it. It had just foolish stuff, all kinds of stuff. Because if you're going to take a flight, you can't bring foolishness with you. If I'm going to catch a flight, I can't bring stupid with me. If I'm going to catch the flight of my life, I can't bring my old self with me. I got to board this plane the best version that I can become. And so what I was going to do for this one here, I had it figured out.
I said, I was going to talk about Apollo 13 when the man, they was in the spaceship and there was an explosion and that's when the phrase came, Houston, we have a problem. I thought that was pretty good. I thought it was pretty catchy. I was like, and then I was going to come back and be like, Baton Rouge, I thought it was pretty good. And then last night, somebody say last night. Last night, my title changed from that. What I want to talk to you for a few minutes, don't leave me, band. I want to talk to you about plane problems. Everybody say plane problems. Come on, say it one more time. Plane problems. Here's the truth of the matter. We're all on different flights, but some of us, we have similar issues. Some of us, we're going through the same thing. I got a call last week about a 14-year-old kid blew his brains out. Plane problems. So you can sit here or stand here and act like you don't have nothing wrong with your flight. Or you can maximize this opportunity and get some information that can make sure, here it is, we ain't talking about taking off, make sure you stay in the air. Our theme today is unexpected turbulence. Turbulence is defined as a sudden, violent shift in airflow. What's the causes of turbulence? Winds, storms, jet streams, objects near the plane. Take a seat. Watch this. Watch this. Everybody say turbulence. Everybody say turbulence. It's possible to be on a plane and everything going well. Raise your hand, you ever flown before? Raise your hand if you ever flown and the plane shook just a little, like, whoa. And then it got right back on track. But raise your hand if you ever been on it and it shook a lot and you was like, what the heaven? Okay, right? So look, I want you to look at this. I want to show you something. In 2 Corinthians 4, verse 8, it says, we often suffer, but we are what? Suffer defined as to experience something bad or unpleasant. I can remember, I want to share my heart with you. This is the first time I am in the public realm sharing this. About a year ago, I thought I was going to die. Like, I thought that my life was over. I thought God was ready for me to go to heaven. I was in so much pain. I have a mentorship program, and so I go to schools, and I check on my students, and I make sure that everything is good. I would literally get out the bed and go right back in the bed because I was in that much pain. I remember crying like, God, why am I going through all this? I felt the suffering that I didn't sign up for. And there's somebody in here, you never invited trouble to come in your life, but it showed up anyway. And this is what I want to do. I want to talk about my little story that happened a year ago. I pray it bless your life. So, about a year and a half ago, I started receiving some pain in my neck. And I got this picture here because I remember doing a MRI, and it says C1, C2, C3, C4, C5, and C6. And when I did the MRI, C1 was good. C2 was great. C3, C4, and C5 was off. Now, here's the crazy part about it. When they told me this was off, I was like, wait, off? They said, but no. It's just off a little. I'm saying, I feel like it's off a lot. And think about that. The doctor said it's off a little, but your pain tells you it's off a lot. And see, that's what people do. They say what you're going through is just a little thing. What you're experiencing is just a little thing. What you're challenged with is just a little thing. And in your life, you're like, no, this ain't little to me. It's a lot to me. I remember telling my story about how I met my dad, and our first conversation was a little off, and I remember telling my dad, hello, and he said, you're not my son, you're stupid, you're dumb, you'll never be nothing. I remember sharing that story in a room in Mississippi with about 2,000 kids, and I remember it like it was yesterday, and when I told that story, it was one boy that laughed so loud. He laughed at my pain, and I forgot I was a preacher. I forgot I love God. And in that moment, what I did was I went up the steps and I literally almost grabbed him, because how can you laugh at something you do not know my experience in? And some of you all, you told people they rejected you. They hurt you. Your mama told you you would never be nothing. Your daddy said you was a mistake too. And people say, oh, that's just a little. But the truth of the matter is, it's a lie. So after that, I found out, and it was causing me to have really, really bad headaches. I took a blood test, and when I got my results back, they said my vitamin D was low. I didn't have the energy. So that explained when I was getting out the bed and going back to the bed, because I didn't have enough energy flowing through my body. I didn't feel like doing nothing. I was so sick, I didn't even feel like going to church. I was so sick, I didn't feel like doing nothing. And I'm going through this. I don't even know why I'm going through this at this time. And I'm like, I was just healthy. But that's what life does with unexpected turbulence. All of a sudden, it becomes rocky. And the worst thing you can do is not be ready when the planes shift. The worst thing you can do today is sit in this room and just hear another speaker and not be ready for the winds that's about to come your way. The worst thing you can do is just take a nap in this section, but be ready to get your Bayou Classic when you hit the door. That, watch this, you were so amazed about a ticket that you ain't never get your ticket to life. Man, I went from having neck problems to vitamin D problems, and now my heart's skipping. I'm like, devil. My heart beating. But it's not just beating, it's skipping beats. It's like, anybody ever dealt with that? Like it's a drum line. And so I'm going through this, and then the doctor, I go to the heart doctor, he say, oh, your heart is fine, but I don't feel fine. Where are you? Who's the kid in here that everybody say you just tripping, but deep down you say, I'm not tripping. There's something in my life that I don't like. There's something in my life that has experience that I didn't sign up for, and I'm not tripping. You call it a minor thing, I call it a major thing. Then from there, the blood test revealed that my cholesterol was high. I'm like, dang, dude, you jacked the heck up. And they say, no, it's not that bad. They say, the goal is for you to get in the green, but you're in the yellow. They say, no, don't worry. They say, you got to worry when you get to the red. I said, wait, huh? They say, no. There's people that have it worse than you. I said, no. I said, I'm not trying to come back to you when I get in the red. I got to find out what I need to do to get in the green. So they start telling me, they said stuff that came from the devil, like work out. I was like, that's from the devil. They told me stuff like, you can't eat fried food. I was like, that got to be Satan. You know what I'm saying? And so what I start doing for the last 52 weeks, for the last year, I took away all the fried food. Somebody say, come on, that ain't God. I took away all the fried food, and here's the crazy part. I stopped eating fast food. Y'all like, blah. So I never had the Popeye's chicken sandwich. Right? But this is what happened. And I remember this like it's yesterday. I remember when it was just yesterday. I remember making these changes, Sean, and I was making these changes, and I was still in pain. I was like, you told me if I did this, I'm going to get that. But I'm still feeling the same way with the blue stove chicken and without the blue stove chicken. And this is what happened. I did not get better, listen to me, until about 10 or 11 months in the game. I really got two things to tell you today. He told me to tell you two things. I'm so excited to tell you. He told me to tell you two things. Are you ready? I'm so excited. The first thing I got to tell you today. The first thing I got to tell you is God, somebody say God. God told me to tell you that he wants you to have a breakthrough before you break down. Man. I believe there's somebody in the room that you are one situation away from breaking down. I believe you're one rejection away from breaking down. I believe you're one relationship denied interaction away from breaking down. And here it is. Here it is. Here it is. He told me to tell you this. He told me to tell you this. Can I tell you this? I tell you what, I ain't gonna tell you. I want to show it to you. Take a look at this video. No sound. All right.
20 seconds at each pace. Each one will be more difficult than the last.
3, 2, 1, go! Forward time is the universe is on!
Stop right there. Stop. Stop.
He won't be stopped.
Can we stop? Okay, great. So go back a little. Watch this. The first one was what? What was the first one? The first one was birthed in the earth, okay? And we went through that one pretty quick, right? Birth in the earth means everybody here. And God told me to tell somebody in here who really don't like their life, somebody in here that you think that you are a mistake. Watch this. Listen to me. If God gave you a pulse, God gave you a plan. Everybody repeat after this. Say, my life matters. Y'all ain't talking to me. Say, my life matters. So go ahead. Let's go. So birthing up, single parent home. I stay with either my mama or my daddy or my grandparents never raised me. Can I tell you something? No matter who you stay with, you better make sure God is staying in. All right? Here we go. Let's go. Keep going. Here it is. Ooh, wait, devil.
Gotta get some sort of footing. He won't be stopped.
Stop right there. Everything that you're going through, you're not becoming better, you're becoming bitter. You get mad at people and they ain't do you nothing. You become disrespectful to the teacher that really do love you. It's going to get tight, but it's going to be all right. Do you know this? That God has sent educators. Now watch this. There are some bad teachers. It's quiet in here. They got some teachers with degrees that still need deliverance. Right? It's quiet. But here it is. There are some people that's at your school that's not trying to get nothing from you, but trying to get something to you. Okay? So here it is. You cannot judge a good teacher versus a bad teacher whether or not they tell you something that you don't like. Oh, they don't like me. Well, pull up your pants. They always getting on me. Well, why your pants always by your kneecap? This is my style. This is how I roll. Well, can you roll them on up? All right, here we go. Anger issues. You mad at anybody. Let's roll. Here we go. Addictions. Keep going.
Got to keep that
Here we go.
momentum.
He keeps bouncing off.
This is not a good
Stop right
sign.
there. See, no self-confidence. He bounced out because somebody rejected him. Where you at? They told you that you couldn't do nothing. When my daddy told me what I didn't like, I went to my room and cried like I was just nothing in the world because I told my dad I don't care, but the truth of the matter is I really did what? And what you do, you build these lies in your life like it didn't hurt me, and the truth of the matter, it did hurt you. Your dad being absent, it hurts. Your mom not knowing who you really are, it hurts. When you don't have people in your life that's supposed to be in your life, it hurts. And what happens is because they've been gone so long and you have other things influencing you, you believe you can never make it. You believe you'll never be good enough. And now There is no self-confidence. So when you try to break through, you bounce back. And the reason why you bounce back is because you no longer have the belief to get through it. Here we go. Let's go.
Still on the first row. He started for the second row. Go get him, Mike.
Go get him, Mike. Here you go. Ooh.
Absolutely extraordinary scream. He's got to be exhausted. He's on to the last row.
Stop. The last round is always the most difficult round. It's the last round where either you're going to accomplish or you're going to fail. Somebody in here, you're in your last round. No, it's crazy. Can I say this to every chaperone, every teacher, every educator, every administrator? I need you to start looking for the kids that's at your school, that's at your campus, that don't talk to nobody. I need you to recognize the people that are silent killers. I need you to find the young person in there that's when you walk in the lunchroom, you're not so concerned about making sure your lunch get microwaved that you find the kid in there that's not sitting by nobody. Because it's those individuals that God, there's a great possibility that God knew your heart that will send you in the right direction so that kid can get hope. So educators, I challenge you today, open up your eyes. I know you deserve a raise. I know you want more monies. You deserve more monies. But here it is. Guess what? Our kids do not deserve a part-time teacher. It's going to get tight, but it's going to be all right. But here it is, kids. We can't expect full-time teachers when we show up only on holiday pay. I only want to come because we're going on a field trip. I only want to be in class today because that's my favorite teacher. You can't show up when you want to. You got to be consistent because, watch this, whatever you expect, you got to first inspect. You got to make sure what you are expecting from your teachers, you are delivering every day too. Somebody say, help me. All right, so I'm about to be done. I got to.
Oh, had a little trouble on break today. Hits it. Head up. You got 20 seconds. Good timing. Oh, but gets it to come down. Hits that one. Oh, he looks a little dizzy. He's a little woozy after that one.
Now, watch this.
Come on,
Watch this. Did y'all hear what he said? He said, hey, come on, go back. Listen. Did you hear what he said? He say, when he hit the thing and he didn't go through it, he said, ooh, he look a little woozy. And I put bad friends there because when you're in your last round, you can't be around the wrong ones. Do y'all hear what I'm saying? I'm in the last fight of my life, and I can't afford to be around negativity and doubt. I need somebody to say, you can do it. I need somebody to say, you can make it. I need somebody to say, you can push through it. Instead of saying, hey, you ain't tired? What is wrong with you? Why are you still? Listen, everybody say this. Everybody say this. Say, I refuse to be around anything that stops me from breaking through. Come on, let's go.
Final pain. It might be too much. Third attempt is a no-go. I think he's had enough.
Hey, stop. He said, I think he had a what? People that would tell you that you've done enough. The people that tell you, don't go after your goal. The people that tell you, man, you already graduated from high school. Why you got to go to college? The people that's telling you just, you should be satisfied where you are the people that wish they were you. I'm telling you what I know. I remember I told somebody I'm going to college. They said, good luck. And when I graduated, they said, congratulations. Here's my problem. Based on my environment, your language changed. You can't be around people that got inconsistent language, but want you to be consistent to them. You got to make a decision. Okay? He said, I think he had enough. Let's see if he had enough.
Oh, are you kidding me? Come on, Mike. Yes, he got through that third. Amazing, amazing. He got through. But don't forget, he had to finish that in 20 seconds there in the last one, calling the audience out. Let's hear it for him. Come to the
So
last
there it is.
round. You get through those first two, all right.
Watch
You
this,
hit it.
watch
You
this,
took out
watch
2
this.
panes of glass with
Stop. That's enough for me. That's the one that the friend told him, I think he had enough. That's the same one he said, I think he's getting woozy. But when he pushed harder, he didn't just knock out what was in front of him. Come on, y'all. He knocked out the next obstacle after the problem. Okay. Somebody say, I win if I don't quit. Hey, just when you feel like you're about to have a breakdown, realize you are just one step away from your breakthrough. I want to say this, tough times create tough people. Trouble don't last always. And God told me to tell you this, that your trouble has an expiration date. Somebody say, my trouble has an expiration date. I got one more video and I want to show you this. Let's roll.
The champ is in bad shape, Jim. Creed realized he has a better chance of hurting Conlon to the body than to the head. What a fight. And Creed staggers back.
Body.
To the body, trading shots. Pawing with his jab, Creed looks to land one big shot.
Pause it there if you can. Watch this. Check this out. Hey, hold on. I want to say this to Southern Lab. I don't know who's in control right now, but I'm going to make a decision from Bristol because he's not here. I want Southern Lab to take a seat. Yeah. We ain't rolling like that today. And I'll take the fall. I'll do whatever it is, but we ain't going to roll like that. All right? Yeah. Okay, watch this. Listen, please. Come on, y'all. Listen. Shh. Listen. Verse 9. Now, watch this. Verse 9 says, I want you to look at this, and we're about to get out of here. And when we are knocked down, we get up again. When we are knocked what? We get up what? Watch the video. Let's go back to the video. Oh. Dang, he ugly. Oh. See, when you're knocked down, everything around you is telling you to get up. When you're knocked down, there's still people on your side saying you can get up. When you're knocked down, there's still somebody on your corner saying you can make it. And here's the question, you got a choice.
Creed just got up like a man possessed.
Now look at this.
Down but not out.
He's celebrating like he won.
He's getting up. But the referee is dusting Creed's gloves. Creed beats the count, and the action begins again. That's the heart of the champion. He has his daddy's heart, I'll tell you that much.
Daddy, be ready.
Hey, more work to do for Conlon. Body shot. Trying to set Creed up one more time. Stitch has done a great job over that right eye, but now the left eye looks like it's almost shut.
Closing up.
Is he okay?
It's okay. I'm good. You're good? I'm good. All right. Sure about that?
It's taken a lot of punishment to both the body and the head. Left eye completely closed.
Don't stop this thing. No. Let me see the eye. Time! Doc, give him a look.
Show me your eye. Show me your eye, Donuts. How many fingers? How many fingers? How many, Donuts?
4.
And again.
2. Time in! All right, breathe through your mouth. Deep breaths, kid. Deep.
You are up on the cards. You're winning this. You are going to win this. But just keep smart and keep away from him. He's going to sleep this time. He's going out this round.
I should have stopped this one with your father. I'm stopping this one now. Don't, okay? Let me finish. I gotta prove
As soon
it.
as they finish, he can
what?
face off. As soon as he
I'm not
finishes, you can play
mistaken.
softly.
Anyway, I never got a chance to thank Apollo for helping me out after Mickey died. But it's nothing compared to what you've done. You taught me how to fight again, and I'm gonna go home and I'm gonna fight this thing. But if I fight, I want you to fight too.
So check this out. Check this out. Look at me. I told you the first thing that God told me to tell you today was you can have a breakthrough before you have a breakdown. But number two, he told me to tell every young person in here is that you're going to be able to get knocked down, but you don't have to be knocked out. All the stuff that's going on in your life, it should have KO'd you a long time ago. I hear so many stories about your generation where the uncle has done harm to their own niece. I hear so many stories about your generation when your own mama tell you you're going to end up in prison like your daddy. Can I tell you something about parents? Some of the parents, they just don't even know how to parent. And I know you're mad at them. I know you're upset with them because they have said some things they shouldn't have said, but they only repeat what they heard as a kid too. And I'm telling you, you gotta get back up again. You gotta make it in life. Somebody, you're down on the ground right now and you feel like, I'm better on the ground. No, you're not. But just because you got knocked down, don't mean you have to be knocked out. I like Creed because Creed is a realistic movie because when I first saw the movie at the very end, I'm in the theater of AMC, and I remember watching this movie, and I'll never forget at the end of the movie, on the very first one, Creed lost, and I got excited. You say, why did you get excited? Everybody was like, boo, boo. And I got excited. I started clapping, and they thought I was a villain. They thought I was wrong. And the reason why I got excited is because if he lost in this movie, there got to be a part two. Listen to me. I know you're down in this segment of the movie of your life, but there got to be a part. You got it. This thing called life got to be a sequel. It got to be a continuation. Because if the movie ends like this, if the series is over because of one, you won't make it. There's somebody depending on you to make it. I say this, I pray, and we getting out of here. Madison Prep holds a dear place in my heart. CSAL holds a dear place in my heart because many of them don't know I was raised on North 15th. I stayed in Northdale. And I remember getting up at 3 a.m. one morning, and I told myself, your life is not good enough, and the knockdown is really a knockout. And I remember getting up, and I told my family member, I'm going to kill myself, and my family member told me, good luck. I proceed out the door. On North 15th, it's the last street, but on the other side, there's a track where a train comes every morning. I got on that track because I felt so defeated. I got on the track and I thought my life was better in a coffin than in a classroom. I stood on that track. And here's the crazy part. The conductor didn't even see me. The train stops in my face. And the conductor says, I didn't pump the brakes. We had a malfunction with the train. I don't even know how this happened. I wasn't even trying to save your life, but God, who know all things. God, the one that's telling you to keep going. God, the one that's telling you not to quit. God, the one that wrote your story before you ever came up in a chapter. I'm talking about God. Listen, say this and I pray for you. I pray for you quickly because we got to get back to this school. But I say this, what defines us is how well we rise after we fall. Nobody want to fall because it comes with pain. But I got something to tell you today. Purpose is always associated with pain. Never confuse a single defeat with a final defeat. Just because I got knocked down in this round don't mean the game is over. Do y'all hear me? Capital is playing in their second round in 10 years. What am I telling you? There's somebody out there that don't like the Lions, they don't like Capital, but through it all, you still rose, you still came up, you went up higher. What am I saying? Yeah, we were singly defeated for a decade, but we get back up again. Listen, watch this. I'm about to pray for you. We don't even have time for small groups. I get it. Watch this. I'm about to pray for you. And here it is. I do not need you to be a wussy. That's the best way I can say it. Don't be scared. Don't be afraid. I'm looking for the young person in here to say, I feel like I'm at the end of my rope. I feel like I'm at the end. I feel like it's over. I feel like that my knockdown is a knockout. I feel like my breakdown is coming before my breakthrough. And I need that. I need that to end in my life. If that's you, don't wait on your neighbor. Don't wait on your friend. Don't wait on your classmate. Don't even look at your teacher. I believe God got you here on purpose. I believe that you're in the right place at the right time to get a word. And I won't let a bus driver, a bus chaperone, I won't let a principal stop this moment. I won't even let myself stop this moment because I believe I was in this place today so that I deal with my pain problems. If that's you, raise your hand. That's me. That's me. That's me. I'm not even calling you to the front today, but raise your hand. Come on. If that's you, don't be ashamed. Stand up on your feet. That's me. That's me. That's me. That's me. And the people that are sitting should be clapping for those that are standing. Listen. Listen, I want to pray for you. I want to pray for you. I want to pray for you. And listen, I'm going to ask you, don't let anything stop you in this moment. If you are standing, lift up your hands right where you are. And I want to pray with you. Heads are bowed, eyes are closed. Father, I thank you. I bless you and I praise you. I pray, God, I pray that we don't let our problems contaminate our present to a place that we believe that we don't belong in the future. I pray, God, for every person that's standing, I pray they have an encounter of a breakthrough and not a breakdown. I pray for the girl in here that don't believe she's pretty enough or good enough or cute enough. I pray that she understands her identity is found in you all the days of her life. God, I pray for the young man in here that's full of chaos and confusion with anger and bitterness. God, I pray that unforgiveness wins. I pray they release and let go everything and everyone that hold them back from getting healed. Father, I pray in the name that's above every name. I pray for the person that's on the ground, that's dealing with a knockdown that the enemy want to manipulate them to believe it's a knockout. God, I rebuke the hand of the enemy, that his voice is silent in every eardrum that's in this sanctuary. Father, I pray that these young people connect to somebody, whether it's at school or in their community, where they can be honest, real, raw, and relevant, so that these young people understand their life matter. So, Father, we make this confession. Repeat after me. Say, Lord, my life will never be the same. Come on, talk to me. Say, my life will never be the same. In this moment, Father, I thank you for speaking to me. And Lord, help me apply what I heard I refuse to go back the way I came. And right now, I ask you, Jesus, come into my life. Change my life. I give you permission to live in me. Lord, I refuse to go back the same way. Father, I receive your gift right now, in Jesus' name, amen. Clap your hands if you got that.